And we are back with the Embedded Correspondents as we just got done defining BBQ Entertainer. All right, enough of that. We have a handful of minutes left to get into the second topic here, which is this. BBQ's most recognizable names, not Pitmaster related, don't seem to compete in anything live fire. Is that something that needs to happen in order to lend any kind of legitimacy to their name and or legacy? For instance, Bobby Flay, Michael Simon, Guy Fieri, Steven Reichlin, Dr. Barbecue, Meathead, me, you, whatever. Does there need to be some type of competition in something during their career to lend them an extra level of legitimacy, whatever that means to you? And we'll start with David.
No, not at all. Barbecue competition is only one aspect of barbecue. You can be a legend at a lot of things. You can make absolutely great tasting barbecue. You can contribute a lot to barbecue and cooking in general and never have to step foot into a competition arena. Especially with the price of competition going up, so many different sanctioning bodies with so many different rules. I just think the barrier to entry is now increasing, and I don't think it's necessary for somebody to compete in barbecue to be a noteworthy barbecue icon.
John, your thoughts?
I think competition barbecue is much different than what we do in the backyard, and most competition people will agree with that. So I don't think someone winning a barbecue competition lends any credence to them teaching me or entertaining me about what I'm going to do in the backyard.
Steve?
No, they don't. You don't need to compete at all. Competing in cooking food for a contest is you're not cooking much food. They're, as far as cooks go, they're easy. The hard thing about doing barbecues when you do one for, 30 people. That's when it gets hard. That's when you're prepping, 50 butts, pulling 50 butts when it's over. That's hard. That's what makes you, I think, a real pit master. There's a lot of people, and in some respect, I'm one of them. I can do 4 meats pretty good, and that's about it. So, and just being a contest cook doesn't mean anything other than you can cook 4 meats pretty good. I think a guy like a Darren Worth that owns a restaurant, Chris Lilly, those guys that are restaurateurs that do it for a living, Melissa Cookston, Myron, Ray, to some extent, they're the ones that are the real. They can hang that moniker of barbecue entertainer on their back and wear it with confidence because they've earned it probably more than anybody.
Doug, your thoughts? Does there need to be any type of competition that takes place over some of these well-known names?
I think it helps with a pedigree. So I think a background helps in terms of if you are a competition cook and you've done well, et cetera. I think that gives you an advantage. Now, the other people like that you mentioned, Flay and Simon, et cetera, they're trained culinary chefs. We as cooks, barbecue cooks or whatever, we can always learn from them. Sam Zion, et cetera. Dr. Barbecue, he's competed, not recently, but probably no better example is Meathead and Steven Reichlin. Steven Reichlin in all of his books and Meathead in all of his research and debunking myths, et cetera. Those are probably 2 of the people that have done so much research. Reichlin traveling all around the world, and Meathead in his scientific experiments. I think that's exhibit 1A and 1B of why you don't necessarily need to be a competition cook.
If they won out, I've heard, I should ask Meathead the next time that he is on, but I think I recall him saying that there was no benefit for him to go out and compete, especially if he went out to some contest and he fell on his face. To the point where I think he was saying it could potentially be detrimental for him and the brand, or if he went out and he got smacked around, that for some reason legitimacy would drop off. He wouldn't gain it by just showing up and trying. that if he got smacked around a little bit, legitimacy would drop off. John, do you think that that should weigh in at all, or do you think that's just him being a little bit more self-absorbed?
If I was him, I'd be in the same boat. And what's to prove? He's not. Competition's not what he's giving us. It's not the same product. It's barbecue, but it's not the same. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I'm all for him. I wouldn't do it either. I'm sticking with Meathead.
Steve, do you think that it would hurt Meathead if he got smacked around at a contest?
Might hurt his feelings. I wouldn't think anything less of him because I know what contests are like firsthand. So no, it wouldn't. It wouldn't with me. It wouldn't matter one way or the other. I'd still respect him.
What about you, David?
It's a tough question because if he's going to take the chance to compete, he's saying, hey, I can compete. I want to be a competitor. If he got smacked around, yeah, maybe he doesn't have the competition chops. I'd say it'd be better, not to compete and leave what his legacy is, which is researcher, educator, etc.
Yeah, I'm tying up a little bit on this one because obviously I feel the number of emails during the course of the week that say, hey, why don't you go out and compete? You talk to all these top level competitors and you should go out and compete and see what it's like. And I've always maintained that what I do is completely separate from cooking. Certainly, I feel I have a certain skill set in the backyard, and the folks that I live around seem to enjoy what I'm cooking, and I'll take any of their free kudos in exchange for the free food that they're eating. But what are they going to tell me, that it sucks and they're still going to come and eat my free food? Probably not, which we kind of all realize as we do this whole cooking thing. But also, if I had a yearning to test my barbecue up against somebody else, then of course I would go ahead and start to look at competing. But I just don't have any internal fire in that regard to say, well, I want to see where my barbecue stacks up with everybody else. I don't give a shit where my barbecue stacks up with everybody else. I'm pretty happy with what I have, and that's it. I don't need to go out and see where it's, because what I would be cooking at a competition isn't what I would be cooking at home. And I don't know if I want to spend that money at this point to go around and get smacked around. I'm not worried about looking foolish. Of course, I would go in there and probably get smacked down pretty handily. And I would know that going into. I mean, there's no doubt about it. So that's why. Now, steak competition, that is a little bit different. And I would say there's a 99% chance that I'm going to go and do the Steak Cook-Off Association competition that's going to be in Hartville in mid-June this coming year, just to try it out. But again, I'm not going to be I'm putting myself at an immediate disadvantage. I'm not going to go and tie my steak up in a string and do all this weirdo trimming stuff. I am going to season it and all that good stuff, but I'm not going to try and blend in with everybody. And probably in Hartville, I can get away with just doing an overall browning of the meat instead of having to lay on the grill marks, because those judges aren't probably accustomed to seeing a lot of Steak Cook-Off Association events anyway, so I can probably get away with doing it. Doug, you're shaking your head. You think I'm off base on that?
Don't they show pictures of steaks with grill marks and the striping?
You know, I don't know if they show the outside or if it's just the inside that they show for judging doneness.
And do they have to be kind of trained in some way, shape, or form, or they're trained on the spot?
It might be like a night before kind of a thing, maybe.
Yeah. So I think they show striping on the steaks in terms of, oh, this looks good.
Well, now I'm worried.
Yeah, Greg, you need to be striping and you need to be tying that steak too.
Well,
I mean, don't go down, don't go up there.
No,
Steve, congratulations. You've talked me out of it.
No,
you've talked me out of it.
No.
Why do
I think you need to check on the striping though.
Let me tell you what I think. I think we don't need to be conforming. I think we need to be we need to be rewarding out of the box. We need to be rewarding creativity. We don't need to be having another fort conforming again to where you feel if you've got to step. You should never feel like stepping out of the box is going to penalize you to the point where you're not going to win or you don't want to risk.
It will, Greg.
Greg,
It's not an art gallery; it's a contest.
yeah, but
Just
you
put
know
'em-
what? The very first competition I competed in, I took the better part of my life growing up trying to develop chicken with crispy skin. That's what I like to eat. Everybody wants it. I go into a contest. The judge, and I knew nothing about competition barbecue. The judge remarks, "Your skin was too crispy." Come on, get out of here. The bite through skin is this made up thing. Nobody really wants to eat bite through skin. I want crispy skin, and that's penalized. I don't understand. That almost single-handedly let me realize competitions are not how I cook for my friends and family. That's not how I want to eat.
Well, if you're going to compete, you got to, though, David. I mean, you can.
Fair enough. That's why I don't want to compete.
Okay.
I'm with Greg.
It's Hartville.
Fair enough.
Go ahead.
Okay.
It's Hartville. It's
Yeah.
the first SCA in Ohio. He's got a good shot. Let him try it. Do it, Greg. Go down there. Do
I
it.
think
I'm
do
ready
it.
to come down there and do
Do
it
it.
too.
By
I'm gonna
all
bring a
means.
Weber kettle. I can't grill grates. I don't go down. You can do it. It's Hartville. They don't understand. You got a shot, man. I'll sponsor you to go.
Well, I can do it. I live right here for crying out loud. Thank you, John. Wow. But it's Steve's fault. He talked me out of it, so you have to take it up with him. offline.
No.
All right, quickly,
What is Steve
we're
now?
rapidly running out of time, just like 2019 is rapidly coming to a close.
No.
So is our monthly segment. Guys, and we'll start with Doug. If you were a billionaire and you had a proclivity for hookers, what would be your process in securing said hookers?
Boy, this is a great PC conversation. So, number one, you never put yourself in this kind of situation. I don't even like to watch those shows like The Affair and stuff like that, where there's cheating and stuff like that. It makes me nervous and I don't like it. But I did research. If I was a billionaire, I would go to countries where it's legal. And there are 15 countries where that sort of activity is somewhat or all the way legal. Denmark, Finland, Costa Rica, Argentina, Canada, it's Belgium, Belize, France, Germany, Greece, Italy, Switzerland, the Netherlands, Mexico, and Spain. So yeah, write them down, fellas. Write them down. That's where I would go, where it's legal.
John, your take?
I didn't give up much thought. First of all, I'm going to maintain plausible deniability. I'm hiring Greg Rempe to be my whole bag man, and then I'm good. He's going to take care of the stuff. I don't know nothing. I just thought she loved me because I was a millionaire.
Billionaire, John. Billionaire
Oh,
with a B.
sorry.
Billionaire.
Simple.
That's right.
You're my whole bag man, Greg.
John, or I'm sorry, David, your thoughts?
All I'll say is if I was a billionaire, it wouldn't be much different than it is for me now. I'd do it the same way.
Do you want to shed some light on that, David?
I'm sorry?
Do you want to shed some more light on that?
No, not at all. I just wouldn't change a thing.
All right, Steve, your take?
Man, I don't know. You know, he's got 7 rings now, 6 Super Bowl rings and a prostitution ring. So,
Oh boy.
you know, I've never even been to a strip club. I don't know anything about that stuff.
All right, well, here's my advice. If I was a billionaire and I had a proclivity for hookers, I would not be going down to Jupiter, Florida, to some strip mall where there's, and this is the worst part of the whole story here, guys. I mean, all kidding aside here on the whole hooker side of things and whatever that means to Mr. Kraft. I mean, there's a whole sex ring and human trafficking ring that they're exploring here right now, that a lot of these women could have been being held against their will. I mean, from a humanitarian standpoint, I mean, that is absolutely tragic and terrible and one of the worst things that could happen. Women being held against their will, being forced to perform sex acts on dudes that probably know what's going on. That is horrible. All that aside, if I was a billionaire and I had a proclivity for hookers, I would fuel up my G650 because I'm a billionaire and I can afford the 650, and I would fly to Nevada. Hello. I would wait the 1.5 hours it would take to fly from where I am in Cleveland to jet out to Las Vegas, where prostitution is legal, and I would buy out the Bunny Ranch or whatever whore house I can afford to buy out for the weekend and just go absolutely bonkers and then I would fly back to Cleveland and resume regular life. What is this guy doing?
Get that big stuff out of here.
Oh, my Lord. Anyway.
Orchids of Asia.
Orchids of Asia. Wow.
2.5 rating on Yelp.
Uh-oh.
Well, they better crank it up. Anyway, the fourth Tuesday of the month, you can find the embedded correspondents giving great advice on if you were a billionaire and you liked hookers, or in David's case, nothing would change. Things would stay as they are. Good for you, David. Congratulations. It's the embedded correspondent segment, guys. Appreciate it, and we will see you again next month. There they are. The embedded correspondents. Doug, Steve, David, John.